Agrarian Reform, sorry. From the Department of Health, we have Director Ana Marie Celina Garfin. From the BSP, meanwhile, we have Deputy Director Roberto Quintos. From the BOC, we have ASCOM Attorney Vincent Philip Maronilla. Also from the BOC, we have Deputy Commissioner Attorney Edward James D. Buco and Director Bienvenido Datuin Jr. From the MWSS, we have Administrator Leonor Cleofas. And from the Department of Finance, Madam Chair and Honorable Chairman Senator Gatchalian, we have Yusek Bayani Agabin. That's all, Madam Chair.
Okay, we would also like to welcome to the House our co-chairperson, Senator Gatchalian, and to thank everybody who's present here today for joining us.
Morning, Madam Chair. On the part of the Senate, this meeting of the Congressional Oversight Committee on the Official Development Assistance is called to order. And Madam Chair, for the record, this is a continuation of our August 1, 2023 meeting. And with your permission, that's it, Madam Chair.
Okay,
thank you very much.
Thank you. The committee secretary has already acknowledged the resource persons. Mr. Koche, do you have any opening statements?
Madam Chair, thank you very much again for convening this ODA. And during the last hearing, we requested the NEDA to give us a presentation on where we are in terms of the official development assistance that are contracted by our government. And during the last hearing, we also took note and discussed some of the issues and challenges that are being faced by our implementing agencies, whereby it's also affecting the feasibility as well as incurring costs for the Filipino people. So we would like to continue that discussion and hear from our implementing agencies as well as NEDA, the Secretariat of the ODA, recommendations. It's important to also take note of the recommendations so that we can act accordingly. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. A pleasant morning to everyone. First, I wish to thank the Secretariat, the NEDA, and all the participants of the TWG for their very productive meeting last September. I'm happy to learn that the agencies are coordinating very closely. I'm gratified to hear from the last hearing that all ODA loans as of end of 2022 satisfy the requirement of a grant element of at least 25% in accordance with our laws. To my mind, the clarification of that information complies with the most important function of this oversight committee. Now the committee can attend to other concerns of the COCODA members about our ODA, for instance, making sure that all the provinces benefit from ODA loans. One of the concerns that was raised in the previous hearing and also in the COA report of June 2023, as mentioned by Co-Chair Gatchalian, indicated that as of end of 2022, 82 loans still have unavailed commitments totaling over 824 billion pesos. And perhaps that is one of the purposes of these committee hearings, to find out why. COCODA does not intend to be an inquisition, but rather a means to help iron out the kinks and glitches so that we may utilize the ODA loans more efficiently, including proposing amendments to the law if needed, but perhaps even more important, helping out on the kinks in the implementation. Thank you. We can now proceed to the main thrust of the meeting. So the presentation will be made by NEDA.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. NEDA, you're recognized.
Magandang umaga po. Good morning po, co-chairs. Asik Eric Planta representing NEDA. We have a short presentation, co-chairs. Your Honors, and the 22 ODA portfolio review report. I'm not sure if the secretary was emailed to the secretariat, but if it could be shown on screen. It's we think it's responsive to the concerns that were raised in previous meetings.
I would like to acknowledge the presence of Congressman Guardado.
Yeah, okay, okay po, Co-Chair. So, the start of the presentation would be as requested po yung ODA loans from 2013 to 22 and allocation per region and per province. So, the coverage of as in our records, Co-Chairs, is that active ODA loans from 2013 to 2022 would be about 209. And 72 of that will have provincial cost breakdowns, and 92 with nationwide with no provincial breakdowns, and totally 42 projects without provincial cost breakdown. So just roughly one-third of those 209 projects would have provincial cost breakdowns. And by distribution, that would be the next slide. In terms of resources going to these provinces, the largest would be, if considered province, it's NCR, Metro Manila, would be about 519 billion pesos, which is about 42% of the total share. Next would be Laguna at 166, 13%. Then Bulacan, 60%. Nasa ano po yan? Fourth slide? So NCR, Laguna, Bulacan, Cebu, Iloilo the 10th at 14.83 billion. It's now shown po on the screen. Now, let me go to the 22 ODA portfolio. So this is as of December 22, and our active ODA loans were those signed and entered into by the government, which would include the following data: the amount of the loan, the grant element, the resources allocated for M&E, and then the cumulative commitment fees paid, and then the estimated cost of delay. So the next slide would show the nominal amount of active loans in 2022. It would be 30.73 billion, and cumulative cancellations as of December 22 would amount to about 525.73 million. We're for this portfolio review, we're dealing with about 26 development partners, which means the ODA partners and the partner agencies. So it's shown on the screen also the relative breakdown between a program loan and a project loan. Next slide would be, we would like to talk about the grant elements, which is always provided by DOF IFG, which we always include in the ODA portfolio report. The grant element at least should have at least 25% in compliance with Section 2 of the ODA Act of 1996, with the exception for those which were secured by GOCCs and GFIs. And based on the data provided by DOF, the grant element ranges from 27% to almost 89%. With the
May I interrupt the
Okay.
presentation? Because the last time when the presentation was made, we were told that all loans are have a grant element of 25%. So that means that they're all exempted from the ceiling on foreign loans provided by the law that we are overseeing. But now you're saying except for GOCCs and GFIs. I think we have to know whether these GOCCs and GFIs, their loans are within the ceiling mandated by law. Because that's what this oversight committee is all about. Make sure that those with grant element are exempted from the ceiling, but those that we do not have a grant element are not exempted from the ceiling. So the GOCCs and GFIs, do they have a grant element? Of 25%?
Madam Chair, could I request DOF to help me
Yes.
on the request?
Madam Chair, I believe it's the Bureau of Treasury that monitors this. I do not have the data now, Madam Chair.
This is the very purpose of this committee.
Yes, sir.
Last time we were told no qualification, just all are ODA with grant element. Now you're telling me there is an exception. So this is a very important,
Okay,
a crucial. I mean, it's a part of the terms of reference of this committee.
understood, Chair. Understood.
Oh.
I don't have the data now, Chair, but I'll coordinate with the Bureau of Treasury to get the information.
I was telling Senator Gatchalian if we could adjourn by 11:30 because there are many activities now in preparation for the recess. It's 9:15. Maybe you could find out before 11:30.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Okay, then you could continue presentation.
I'd like to proceed to the next slide. The grant element, at least JICA is the most loans with grant element in the higher range, 70 to 80%. But the next slide would be what was requested also of us, the allocation and monitoring and evaluation. So for 2022, based on our reckoning, it would be about 3.77 billion. 1.98 billion for other sources, but 1.79 billion is mostly allocation from the project's ODA disbursements. So this is for yung output, outcome monitoring, field visits nila, and conduct of evaluation studies for these ODA projects. Now, the next slide would be on commitment fees. We're showing commitment fees from previous years, which is at the magnitude of $31.92 million. But for 2022, the commitment fee would be about $10.52 million. And that in our estimation with the IFG is that 2.76 of that 10.52 million is the estimated cost due to delay. And we have also the additional information there that commitment fees rate range from 0.10%, 0.1% for JICA and 0.3% for China. Next slide would be on the physical status of the 81 project loads, which supports about 70 ICC approved projects, and it's color coded if it's either of schedule with incomplete outputs, completed schedule, but it could be shown and that most of the projects here would be behind schedule, 38 out of 81 projects. And the report would show the which agencies have the most projects based on progress, based on the status, if they're behind schedule, unscheduled, not yet started. Our two main infra agencies account for most of the projects in the portfolio, and this is shown in the screen also. Now, just
Really, because they were more negligent. It's just that they have more loans, right? It's just par for the course. They have more loans, so they have more delays.
pwede rin, Madam Chair. Well, we have typology for the delays. But usually it's procurement, right of way, the usual. But yes, I guess that could be ano. Now, about 5 slides just to complete yung because it source of confusion po yung mga definitions minsan that we submit to Congress. The first one would be, the next slide would be, what do we say, what do we mean when we say incomplete outputs? So basically po to yung incomplete outputs, we have loan closing dates, incomplete outputs by the time of the closing date, by the end of the implementation. So it's agencies would be working on those projects using their regular budget. So through a different implementation scheme. Nawala na po tayo sa ODA. So completed yung loan, and then they will just do it from their own locally funded projects. Next source of confusion would be that some project loans would be tagged as behind schedule, but the actual accomplishment is higher than the target accomplishment. So our reckoning is basically we look at the major ongoing activities if they're experiencing delays, and basically that's we tag as a behind schedule if they're the major component of the projects is really experiencing delays. Then just for clarity, next slide would be, we have tagged some projects as behind schedule, unscheduled, or not yet started. It just means that these are just undergoing pre-procurement, pre-implementation, pre-construction activities. So no reporting at the end of December was given to us, because basically the implementing agencies are just organizing their teams yet. So wala po kaming mai-report kahit na ano pong figure. Next source of confusion, we have projects that have less than 100% actual accomplishment but tag as completed. So ganun din po, major facilities have been delivered and are operational, and sometimes partial loan cancellations were done. So limiting the project scope po to the completed project components. Yun lang po yung kwento dyan. Now, next few slide would be on the reported delays in 2022, types nomenclature, yung mga issues po niya, recurring, and the agencies that are affected or are reported such delays or issues. So next slide would be typology po. So topmost would be procurement, and then yung affected projects. So individually po yan. Our implementing agencies knows what projects are those. So for brevity lang po, cluster lang po namin in terms of typology. But and it could happen that procurement issue could also have problems, other issues down the road in terms of budget, institutional support, and the like. So what's with the cooperation type implementing agencies, we normally do regular meetings. So some of those outstanding issues get to be resolved within the year. But at the end of the reporting period, may hindi po nare-resolve talaga. So 97. So next slide would be projects with reported delays in 2022. So 48 po siya, nandun po sa annex ng ODA portfolio report that which we submitted. 38 behind schedule, 6 with incomplete outputs, and 2 terminated. Now, we have a few more slides on implementation issues that were reported in, and then the issues and the recommendations were gathered also in consultation with the agency. So site condition, and first one would be site condition availability. Ano na po to, hindi, these are very intuitive and recurring for almost all our infra projects mostly. So difficulty in right-of-way acquisition, and expropriation proceedings, so adverse water condition. So the next slide would be how do we intend to solve that? Well, the agencies manifested that they need to prepare and, moving forward, prepare and secure availability of project sites before commencing civil works. Ito na po yung experience. So moving forward po, na lang yung doon. Hopefully for future projects, they'll will have better performance. Some policy recommendation for site condition and availability, if it would be possible, first item for appropriation of road right-of-way on a per project basis instead of general road right-of-way fund within an agency. In terms of sometimes it's a question of readiness also, so perhaps the on a per project basis would sort of kind of solve a bit of the delays. And we're looking at City RP HB 4664. Perhaps the consistent real property valuation would sort of solve the wide inconsistency in real property valuation. Also, item 3 would be possible amendment of the Right-of-Way Act, RA 10752. Next issue, implementation would be issue on procurement. So 3 common issues: failure of bidding.
Go back first to your recommendation.
Yes po.
Appropriation of RROW on a per project basis. Actually, that's within the scope, that's within the power of the executive branch to do when you're preparing your budget. So it's not a recommendation to us. It's something that you have to do among yourselves. So has this been brought up to your superior so that they can do it now? For the next budget cycle, at least.
Yeah, yes po. And with like help from Yusek Kati Cabral from the DPWs could that be ano?
Scotty here. Oh, there's a beautiful girl. Okay.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honors, Madam Chair. Yes, although very challenging to define the right-of-way amount per project, considering po that, of course, ang process po ng pag-identify is really dependent on the actual claims of the all the affected property owners. That includes also land acquisition, resettlement plan, among others. So even in the case of putting it as a right-of-way fund, general fund to be shared by all implementing office, the challenge really is, Madam Chair, Your Honors, is that it's not already enough. As of now, Madam Chair, Your Honors, the valid claim has already reached 60 billion plus, and the vetted claims, meaning all with the supporting documents, has already reached around 30 billion accumulated over time, Madam Chair, Your Honors. But we will endeavor to consult our implementing office if they can identify all the claimants that we can try to execute in the future budget execution, Madam Chair, Your Honors.
When you say future budget execution, that's different from appropriation. So you're talking here about 2024,
Correct, Madam Chair.
because it's at the end of the year.
Correct,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
And there's not, I mean, you can work within the GAA of 2023
Well,
or
we
2024.
yes, of course, Madam Chair.
Oo.
The challenge is even with the insufficient funding for right-of-way, we have been trying our best effort to implement the project even with right-of-way challenges. Marami na po kaming pakiusap sa mga property owners, sa mga affected people, para hindi po madelay yung project to as much as we can.
To what
Ah.
extent have you been successful in your endeavors?
Marami na lang pong utang, marami na pong nagkiklaim sa amin. As I've said, Madam Chair, Your Honors, around 30 billion na po ang documented claims namin, which we have submitted both the House and to the Senate to support our requests in the National Expenditure Program, Madam Chair.
Ay muna, you know, the budget, although Congress has the power of the purse, we cannot increase the budget beyond what the president submits. So this, you know, this thing about submitting to Congress to add to the budget, it's really optics, because the fight should really be within your own executive department.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Because
that is right.
once the NEP is submitted, we cannot increase anybody without decreasing somebody.
Okay.
And who is going to be the Solomon there to decide what to decrease?
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Oo.
The 30 billion that we submitted supports our request in the National Expenditure Program, Madam Chair.
Was it allocated in the
Uh,
NEP?
It's not itemized as per the claimant.
But is it within
It
the?
is within.
It's within the lump sum ceiling.
It is within the
Okay.
lump sum ceiling, the budgetary ceiling of DPWH, Madam Chair.
So it's within your power to do your own realignments.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay. So we'll expect the DPWs to be the ones to do that. Okay. Yes, yes.
Let me just clarify, Yusek Cabral, you said earlier that the valid documented claims are 30 billion. The amount is 30 billion.
More or less, Your Honor.
And the 60 billion, you mentioned there's a 60 billion amount.
Claims, total claims, but they have to be validated and documented because we need the supporting documents, for example, the title, among others. And sometimes there are nuances like, you know, namatay na po sa tagal ng pagbabayad namin, namatay na, and the heirs have also claimed, and therefore we need to file some proceedings in the court. So for them to establish that they are the rightful owner. Parang ganun po, Your Honor.
For 2024, the 30 billion is completely funded.
At least the documented or
The,
the.
the 30
yes.
billion, the
Well,
30 billion, yeah.
yes,
So,
Your Honor.
so at least the documented, we can already pay the landowners.
Well, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And then I'll go back to the question of our good Madam Chairperson. The recommendation is to itemize the RROW per project. Did we do this coming 2024 budget?
Not, Your Honor. Again, kasi po, again, yung 30, kung in the past po, hindi po kasi na-achieve or na-realize yung what we have requested in the National Expenditure Program. So it's really very challenging to itemize. Baka po ang mawala. Hindi natin alam, as mentioned by the Madam Chair, Your Honor. Ang hirap po kung ano yung aalisin mo. It's very hard to decide. So we were hoping for some flexibility. Kung ano po yung lumabas na budget, we can reallocate. Siguro, a good rule is first in, first out for aging claims para mabayaran na po yung.
But this RROW is divided between DOTR and DPWH?
Sir, Your Honor, sa amin lang po.
There's also, kasi based on the delayed project, the two most, the implementing agencies that have two most delayed projects are DPWH and DOTR. Obviously, we all know that. No? And I assume that for in the case of the DOTR, it's also a majority of that will be RROW. Is that correct?
Yes po, for DOTR po, Mr. Chair, the majority of our causes for delays is also right of way.
And you also have your own RROW fund.
For DOTR po, we have a common right of way fund.
Correct.
That is used by all projects. But at the same time po, within our project line items, particularly for ODA projects, we are able to use our GOP counterpart for purposes of right of way acquisition, Mr. Chair.
So in other words, for DOTR, it's already itemized.
Yes, it's a mix po. There's an itemized per project, and there's also a common right of way fund po.
My suggestion, because this is the recommendation, a policy recommendation of NEDA, is for the three agencies, no, the DPWH, DOTR, NEDA, to work together to achieve this. If this is a solution to avoid delays, kasi ito na yung recommendation eh. Obviously, this is a recommendation, and to the aim of the recommendation is to solve all of this delay because it's incurring cost for us. And I assume it's not reflected in the 2024 budget. So why don't you guys work together, three of you, and let's target 2025 budget as the target to itemize, or at least majority to itemize. I understand where Yuse Cabral is coming from, no? But if the recommendation is to itemize, then let's strive to do that, because or else every time we will have this oversight, ganun rin yung problema. The recommendation will be there, but we're not acting on it. No? So, Madam Chair, with your permission, I would like to put that as a recommendation from the Oversight Committee, so that we target 2025 as the year that we can itemize, no? as far as we can, no? And leaving some flexibility to the implementing agencies for the other purpose. No? Alam ko hindi lang naman ODA, diba? Yuse Cabral yung mga mga right of way. There are other projects but for the, at least for the ODA, no? Let's strive to itemize it.
Honors,
We
correct
concur,
po.
Mr. Chair.
That is correct. Even in public works, the ODA project, the foreign assisted projects, are itemized per project with a loan proceed and a GOP. Similar to the OTR, we can also source our right of way for that particular project from the GOP. Nonetheless, it's also challenging because even the GOP gets cut. So, and if you don't have funds for that GOP foreign assisted, we try to source it from the common fund right of way of DPWH. It's really causing a big delay for that particular project, Madam Chair, Your Honors. So yun po yung strategies to cope up and meet at least the target po, Your Honors.
Continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'll be focusing now on procurement. Findings mostly on problems in procurement. First one would be bidding failure because of lack of bidders, and the next two items there is basically concerns and the processes of the development partners. So we have procurement issues because of that. So the recommendation basically for the implementing agencies and a better understanding of the procurement processes of the development processes. So we want our PMOs to understand those processes better. So capacity building, it's not the GPRA po, pero the development partner regulation. So meaning po yung JICA procurement processes, COICA, KXC, all those ano po, partners that we have in the ODA portfolio. So next slide would be some
And may I interrupt? This thing about failure of bidding due to the lack of bidders, we took this up the last time. And as a result of learning that this is one of the big problems, I drafted a bill that follows the BOT law. In the BOT law, if you have only one bidder, you don't consider it a failed bid. You just give the project to the one bidder. So I'm drafting a bill to that extent, and I hope that I'll have the support of my co-chairman and the executive branch, so that will speed up the bidding process. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah, thank you po, Madam Chair. So that would fits squarely po, I guess dun sa first policy recommendation is a specialized act or those that could amend GPRA, so sort of look at the procurement framework better. The second one would be an preferential use of domestic labor materials and locally produced goods. NEDA's position, of course, is that it's anti-competitive. And the third item would be adoption of a best value procurement mechanism. What we mean by that would be using other facets such as quality, efficiency, sustainability, yung how to select the most advantageous offer. So yung what desired performance do we need from the in the procurement process, para hindi lang po yung cost, least cost na looking at life cycle cost po, parang ganun po yung what we mean by those.
Number 3 provided for already in the procurement law.
Yes, ano parang I guess baka understanding it better po, the agencies, some agencies po or not don't do regular procurements, don't quite understand yung the options that are there.
But the
So
fact that the biggest arrears are in the two major agencies of infra. Again, it's not the fault of the agents. It's just that they're the biggest because they're the biggest loans. I mean, maybe we shouldn't really have to bother so much about the small agencies who don't do ODA all the time, but rather the two major agencies. So if it's already in the law, to what extent do the two major agencies, the ones in charge of procurement, to what extent do the ones in charge of procurement understand this?
sige po, yeah, parang question of yung magnitude po, parang we attempted to be more comprehensive kasi even po the number 4
Do Pareto.
yes po, kasi even the 4 parang the procurement practitioners of course mas experience po yung ating mga major infra agencies than the rest. So
With number 3.
yes po, you're right po, mas familiar po sila than the others.
Yeah.
Well, balik lang ko po ako dun sa so we attempted to sort of get all the nuggets from the entire experience. So ay yung hindi na it's more of an attempt at comprehensiveness sa policy recommendation, not
Not
targeted.
offhand, whether number 3 is being practiced by DPWH and DOTR extensively.
Will show. Sige po. Magano po kami, magbilang po kami.
Okay.
Next implementation issue would be an approvals by various institutions. Internal to us, processing of government permits, then partnerships with other relevant agencies. So yung coordination po, that's the usual recourse, but this doesn't happen normally. So yung FPIC, ECC, special agreement in protected areas, we of course would want it to be upfront before even the project is implemented. But yung inherent concerns would sort of spill over during the implementation. Next slide would be the insufficiency of budget. So common refrain from our implementing agencies is the insufficiency of or even non-allocation of project funds in the GAA. So, and then
again, it's not really our fault because we only go by the total of the NEP. It's really among yourselves.
So one of those other recourse internally is to sort of agencies to queue for the unprogrammed appropriations. It's on a regular basis, on a yearly basis po. So next slide would be some recommendation. Preparation of requests to DBM for budget allocations for ODA funded projects, and then the and then we have a policy recommendation on the budget modernization bill and cash budgeting system specifically.
Pending with the Committee on Finance in the Senate.
Yes po.
Filed in the House? Not yet.
DBM, please.
Shouldn't all these bills begin in the House to begin with?
Good morning po, co-chairs, Director Joy Delian po of DBM. With regard to the status of the passage of budget modernization bill, we have several bills na po already filed in the House of Representatives, pending committee hearings po and consideration. Yes, Madam Chair. Yes po. Yes po. Actually po, we already have some briefings for the committee, and even the Senate po, they already conducted a public hearing for the Senate versions filed for the budget modernization bill.
Madam Chair, that would be our last slide. So we have specific project info, but our implementing agencies are here rin, kasama rin po naman namin ngayon. So I guess we're ready for the more substantive Q&A.
It's not an inquisition, no? It's for us to help you. Since there are 23, there were 23 projects in the DPWH with delays, and how many have been solved already? No, 37 ba yun? Meron dito. Here, 23, then 10 have been resolved, so there's 17. So the biggest number of projects is in procurement. And I presume that this is DPWH procurement. Maybe you can give us a rundown on the 17 projects with procurement problems, because that seems to be the biggest source of delays and underutilization. Do you have a list of the 17? So we can, in future hearings, look at them, pick some important examples that the committee members would like to move faster and help out on how to speed them up.
We can submit, Madam Chair, but we can mention some of them right now.
Yeah.
For the procurement, there would be yung pong acronym of split support to parcelization of land for individual titling. This is World Bank project.
Oh.
The second would be Cebu Bus Rapid Transit project of DOTR. Then Metro Manila Priority Bridges Seismic Improvement Project, DPWH, JICA. Metro Manila Interchange Construction Project Phase 6, DPWH, JICA also. New Cebu International Container Port Project, DOTR with the Koreans.
Yeah. I think you presented last time, no?
Yeah.
Among those, which one has the biggest absorption capacity problem?
Can we, Madam Chair, can we crank that up? This is 2022, but offhand, I could think of a few, yung EDSA Greenways, Cebu, Cebu, BRT. I guess in reply siguro, Madam Chair, yung we will provide also, but yung hindi pa gumalaw as of this hindi pa gumagalaw talaga, Metro Manila Flood Management Project Phase 1, World Bank and AIB, so 0.04% siya nung December 2022, and then Philippine Rural Development Project PRDP 2, yun po yung mga wala pang completion rate
Flood control is totally not moving.
Pero wala pa po sa ano namin, nothing that we can report of.
Next time that flood control, but there's plenty of mitigation funds now in those climate change conferences. And not mitigation, what they call this, yung adaptation. But I said already, hindi lang gumagalaw. Procurement.
Yung pong mababa rin po is the New Cebu International Container Port Project, and as I mentioned,
The flood control in Metro Manila is very strategic.
yes, bigger.
And instead of enumerating so many, then we don't act on any of them. Why don't we examine the Metro Manila? It's not moved at all. Is it because of procurement?
Yes po.
Do you know the issue of the procurement? Do you know why the procurement is problematic?
Pasalod, Madam Chair, Yusek Kati, please.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Kari.
I have the report with me from the implementing office. Well, it actually says, right, delays. This is the delayed project. This is the Metro Manila Flood Management Project, funded by World Bank and EIIB. That started 23 billion. It's co-implemented, by the way, with MMDA. And the public works component is composed of complete construction of pumping stations, among others, the construction, while the a component, I believe, of MMDA would be the repair of some pumping stations. As of to date, Madam Chair, we have completed only 2 out of multiple, I have to count, and the 8 are still ongoing, but there are still under procurement. And from the status, yes, Madam Chair, procurement are cited as cause of delays, and the solution of the implementing office, I believe it's due to technical designs, and they are now shifting to the design, supply, and installation mode for the rehabilitation and upgrade of the pumping stations. So I think there was I am not in the operations part, but I believe with this, the original design was for DPWH to provide the design, and I believe there were no takers, and they are now shifting to design, including the supply and installation, to be bidded out, Madam Chair. So I think that
So when is the announcement, the invitation to bid coming out?
they are now 11. There are 11 now that have been advertised for procurement. Procurement, it says here under procurement, 11 pumping station. 3 are now under contract preparation. So 3 have been successful to bid out. 8 are ongoing. 2 are still being procured. And 8 more are still in the pipeline, Madam Chair.
Contract preparation, how long does it take?
Oh, I think as of October pa kasi to, so since we're now in November, I think baka perfect na po yung contract because it will only take months and then concurrence po lang po ng lending institution. So 3 are already, as of October 31, contract perfection. That's the one in Tripa de Galina and Tanza and Hulong Duhat.
October, contract perfection.
For 3, Madam
Yes,
Chair.
yes, never mind. At least there's
Yes,
3.
Yes.
Pero contract perfection already.
Yes, Madam Chair.
That's end of October. It's now December. What happened the whole month of November?
Let me check with the implementing office, but I believe this is already perfected, and perhaps a notice of to proceed might have been already issued, but I have to check with the implementing office, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman, I'm just wondering whether you have informed the implementing agencies about these key implementation issues. You have here recommendations to IAs, but have you informed the IAs about your recommendations?
Thank you for the question. Process-wise po, what we do, we have quarterly at NEDA internal reports. After those internal reports is vetted, we immediately write the agencies. We have an alert mechanism po, what we call most projects that would most likely restructured or babalik po sa ICC, or things that are projects that are not moving. So at the minimum, a quarterly letter to agencies. Semestral po, we have a coordination meeting, project implementation officers meeting. So we gather all the project managers and tell them to at least do cuts up plans and report on progress based on the last coordination meetings. And then before po yung we submit to Congress, we have to again another round of consultation meetings if what we will be reporting to Congress are fair So para yung consultation po all year round po siya, and depende rin po sa sa concerns. We also go to the site to understand better yung yung better and yung magnitude po ng concerns, kasi we don't want to be stuck in the desk lang po looking at the numbers.
So in other words, Madam Chairman, the implementing agencies are fully aware of your key recommendations. So how come we still have these problems?
Well, if I could infer, Madam Chair, sometimes we talk to the project managers. I think some of the decision would require resolution at the higher level in their institutions. So that's why we also do, in our case, we elevate our concerns to the secretary, so it could be raised to his colleagues as well. So ganun po yun eh. Parang the way I understand it is that it's taking time for the institutions to solve some of those tractable problem, like let's say a right of way. Maybe they have a budget, but it's if you give to project A, you will take it away from project B. So paano po yung something like that? So we of course would want the decision to come soonest, but it sometimes doesn't come our way. I mean, information-wise.
Madam Chairman, one of the key recommendations here is the passage of the budget modernization bill. Madam Chairman, can you tell us what particular aspects of the present budget process is really problematic?
Well, if the DBM could help me, but in our view po, yung pong yung preparation part of that budget, yung I guess it's our sense is that it's being consolidated on per project level, and then cuts are made, but something like perhaps more comprehensive prioritization. Some might not be really can be accommodated within the budget. So parang instead of say choosing 30 projects, maybe 25 projects for now, and then
That's not solved by legislation.
Yes,
That's
po.
within the executive.
Yes po.
Impression is the modernization is provides for cash budgeting, and my understanding is that it seeks to do away with the 2 years implementation time for infrastructure projects. In other words, if you're going to budget it for 2024, it must be finished in 2024. Isn't that right? And not in 2026.
DBM po, to help us.
Yes po, Madam Chair, you are correct. Basically po, one of the reforms being introduced in the budget modernization bill is the institutionalization of the cash budgeting system. So basically po kasi among the implementation bottlenecks po, not only of the ODA projects, are the low absorptive capacities of implementing agencies. So year on year, we propose budget, and we observe po at the DBM that a lot of projects have low utilization rate in terms of obligation and in terms of disbursement. So that's why po we are proposing for the passage of the budget modernization bill to have a paradigm shift in terms of implementation and planning and budgeting. Kasi po with cash budgeting system, we only propose what we can implement for a particular fiscal year po. And the intention of the budget modernization bill is to have a 1-year validity rin po of appropriation, so that the agencies can only implement a particular component of their programs and projects for that particular year lang po. Kasi ito po yung isa sa nakikita namin na solution for low obligation and of course yung tinatawag po natin na low disbursement or yung underspending in terms of budget. Thank you po.
Mr. Co-Chair, I'm proposing that for our next hearing, we examine the Metro Manila flood control project as a case study on what can go wrong in the absorption of a project. In the meantime, do we already have the information from the Bureau of the Treasury about the GOCC and GFI loans, on whether they are within the ceiling allowed by the ODA law?
Chair, if a GOCC borrows, they actually borrow under a different law.
It doesn't matter.
Yes,
What's
sir.
the latest law? Did the law specify that only national government loans should be the ones, or isn't it generic, all foreign loans? And these are the more recent law than the GOCC and GFI laws.
No, yeah, if it's counted. It is counted as a supporting. Yeah.
Madam Chair, for the guaranteed loans, it's not counted under RA 8182, but under
Can you show me
4860.
the provision in the RA that says only national laws? Because maybe my memory is wrong. Relative law is Presidential Decree number 1939. Does the President's Decree 39 only provide for national loans? Oh yeah, here. Because in the whereas of PD 1939, it says, the purpose for the PD 99 was about the rescheduling, restructuring, or refinancing, and it says whether such restructuring or refinancing would likewise require guarantee, including financial institutions, external indebtedness of government corporations. So therefore, Section 2 says total amount of loans, credits, or indebtedness, and it doesn't say of the national government. What's the legal basis for saying that GFIs and GOCs are exempted? Thing is the law I authored when I was a senator, ODA grant component. generous anyway, $10 billion, but let's just make sure that it's complied with. So you don't have an answer on regarding the facts. You had an answer for an argument, but I don't really see the legal basis for your argument. So for the next hearing, maybe we could have an accounting of the GFI and GOCC loans to see whether they are under the debt ceiling.
Yeah, yes, we shall, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, with your permission. Madam Chair, I want to continue the discussion on the issues and recommendation, and also Congressman Bordado mentioned that earlier. I was looking through the recommendations, no, and some of these recommendations are actually quite they're part of they're the responsibility of the implementing agencies. For example, capacitate PMOs in procurement laws and guidelines. And then there's another one, prolonged processing of government permits. These are within the control of the executive department and the implementing agencies. In fact, to capacitate the PMOs and to continuously conduct capacity building for the PMOs, this is a normal this is normal for any implementing agencies and project management offices. This is expected. Expected na alam niyo yung batas, expected na alam niyo yung proseso. This should not be the case anymore, no? So what happened here, if this is normally expected of any implementing agencies, how come it's still a recurring problem? May I ask NEDA their analysis on this? It's quite disappointing that even normal responsibilities cannot be fulfilled, and now it's affecting the entire project.
The headline usually, Mr. Chair, is it's usually they have a new PMO. Learning the ropes, so to speak, but we're just searching our database kung what projects para ma-contextualize yung the findings, Mr. Chair.
And then there's another issue that you pointed out in your presentation, prolonged processing of government permits, forging of partnership with other relevant agencies and entities, and obtaining concurrence of approval from oversight agencies and development partners. These are documentary requirements and coordination. Again, coordination is a normal day-to-day activity of any implementing agencies. How come it's still a recurring issue?
Yeah, we have one specific, and we see Administrator Bobby Cleopa to pull new Centennial Water Source po yung Kaliwa Dam project po natin. May problema po tayo sa SAPA.
May problema saan?
Securing po yung Special Use Agreement in Protected Areas, SAPA po. Sa Rizal po.
Ganito na lang, no? I would like to concur with the proposal of our good co-chairperson to come up with case studies, like for example the one you mentioned, and let's come up with specific recommendations. Like for example, loosely, I was thinking maybe we can come up with some one-stop shop for all of these projects so that everyone can coordinate and talk and collaborate and talk among themselves in one area. Very specific, concrete recommendations so that these problems will not recur all the time, no? Because we're expecting the implementing agencies to do this on a day-to-day normal basis, but it's still a problem. No? So for the next meeting, let's come up with case studies and concrete recommendations. And then another one, in your recommendation, you listed 3 legislative proposals, correct?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
And some of them are, just give us later on na lang, give us an update on those legislative proposals and what it aims to solve, particularly in this ODA issues. Let's pinpoint again, no? Not generalize. Now, for example, you propose to pass the package 3 of the comprehensive tax reform program. In fact, in the Senate, that's now under plenary debate. But what does it aim to solve in particular? No? So that it's not only a blanket recommendation of legislative proposals, but also a targeted solution to a specific problem. No? We'll discuss that. Just submit to us, to the committee, that list of legislative proposals and also how it will solve the problems of the ODA issues.
Sige po, Mr. Chair. So bills and the specificity, what problems will it intend to solve and what provisions po. Sige po.
To acknowledge the presence of the Chairman of Ways and Means, Joey Salceda. Any questions, Congressman?
No, ma'am.
Just last, because I've been reading this in the news lately, would like to get some updates on the China ODAs. I read in the news, particularly from Secretary Bautista, that they're no longer pursuing that. But I would like to inquire formally what is the direction for the China ODAs. I understand that to date we have about we contracted about $1.7 billion, and this is scattered to 12 projects. Just give us an update on that. Are we pursuing it? Are we canceling everything? Like to direct that question to Neda once again.
We have the projects, Mr. But I would like our friends from the UF to be in the front seat for this one.
I think the OTR will be in a better position to reply, Chair.
9:30 pala.
Mr. Chair, out of the $1.7 billion of loans with China, for the Department of Transportation, we only have one loan. It's the loan for our 14 billion peso project management consultancy contract for the South Long Haul project. So out of that 14 billion pesos, the loan from China Exim Bank is around 10 billion pesos. Now, Mr. Chair, as to the status of the three of the China financed projects in the list, first, well, among all three, when the administration changed in July of 2022, the loan applications of the Philippine government to China Exim Bank were deemed withdrawn due to the non-approval of the loans at that time. When the government changed, the new administration decided to reapply for the loans. So those reapplications were done in December for the South Long Haul project, and for the Subic Clark in January of 2023. In the third quarter of this year, in coordination with the Department of Finance, there was a discussion on essentially how long are we going to wait for China's side to act on or approve our loan applications. And with respect to the Subic Clark project, we have given up to the end of October to wait for that. And that is why within November, not having had action or approval for our loan application, the loan application for Subic Clark was deemed withdrawn. For the South Long Haul project, Mr. Chair, since we already have one loan for South Long Haul project, which is for the project management consultancy, the direction is to give a little more time to China for them to act on and approve our loan application. And that time or that period is up to the end of December. And finally, Mr. Chair, for the Mindanao Rail project, since we have not gotten any action from China's side on the first two projects on Subic Clark and on South Long Haul, we no longer pursued further loan applications for the Mindanao Rail project. Currently, Mr. Chair, what are we doing? We are exploring other development partners for each of these three projects so that we have an alternative considering that we were not able to get financing from the China side on these three rail projects, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that update, Yusek. Tuneda, I saw in the list, no, other than the three mentioned by DOTR, there are also projects funded by China ODA, for example, the DPWH. I think the Madam Co-Chairperson mentioned this. The Metro Manila Flood Management Project under DPWH is also funded by AIIB. And then there's also a Chico River Pump Irrigation Project
Completed na.
under NIA, funded by China ODA. And then there's also Samal Island Davao City Connector Project, DPWH. So there are several projects. Now, are we pursuing this?
Yeah, first crack, Mr. Chair. Yeah, some of those have been yung pong Chico close na po yung loan, na-deliver na po. Some are ongoing, Samal Island Davao City Connector po. As of may a little bit of slippage, 7% po as of
But that's ongoing.
ongoing po yun.
Okay. In the Metro Manila Floodway Management Project, that's the one we discussed
Yes, sir.
earlier. That's ongoing as well. How about the new Centennial Water under MWSS?
Wow. Engineer ba?
Morning, Madam Chair and the Honorable. The new Centennial Water Supply Project is an active ODA loan from China and it's ongoing right now. The construction is ongoing. We have started the tunnel boring machine, 2 kilometers out of 22 kilometers. And we are happy to inform that we have gotten all the clearances and permits required for us to be able to go in the dam site and start construction of the dam site.
Thank you for the update. Just submit to us, Neda, some updates on the China-related ODA and also loans. And so from what I understand, only the two projects under DOTR were canceled.
We'll provide po yung updates.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, next one.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I said.
Yung DP, ano yung 38 na behind schedule? Ano yun, right away?
Many reasons, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair. Multiple reasons, right of way among them. Cause of delay for those projects.
Next time, Neda, please put paging. All right, it's easier to refer.
Yes po. We'll do that.
Yeah, and this one. It sticks like a finger, waiting to be plowed back in line.
The answers.
Yes,
Many answers now.
no, I mean, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, yes, right of way is one of the causes, among other reasons, like as discussed earlier, the procurement, change in design, among others, is the cause of delays of those ODA funded projects as cited by NEDA, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
Pero yung utilization kasi ng notice of loan proceeds ng unprogram, halos hindi ko na makita ang DPWH doon eh. Puro na lang DOTR. So ibig sabihin, hindi na talaga to gagalaw. If you study the UA and program appropriations, much of the utilization of the notice of loan proceeds are exactly DOTR, not DPWH. So it means that these are dead projects. Kathy?
Oh, we have, I believe I was informed that we have received some program appropriations and they're being utilized right now. Our submitted report, I have not been furnished a copy of the report of NEDA on the
Alright.
utilization of a program.
The last time I looked for 2023, 145 out the 147 was for the OTR. So you had 2 billion.
They are being utilized, Madam Chair, Your
There,
Honors.
you only have 2 billion. That's not utilization for me. Can I show them? Yeah, 20 out of the 193. Okay na rin? So 20 out of the 193 na NLP, which the notice of loan proceeds, is for DP. So what's the total universe? No. Your entire ODA right now.
The total portfolio project cost is around 250 billion. Total cost of all the projects that are currently ongoing with loan agreements, Your Honor.
Ilan magkano?
Around 250 billion from what I
250 billion.
A
So
total
you're
project cost, Your Honor. Total
yeah,
project.
so you're touching 10%.
You're
Touching only 10%.
we have, yes, Your Honor, the unprogrammed fund released according to
20.
is around that amount, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Anyway, Madam Chair, I would just like to know, I don't know where to start na eh. So is there a specific group now in government that handles ODA? Eric,
Technically, Mr.
where's the
Chair-
initiative starting from?
Mhm.
Before we had CCPOP.
In what way, Mr. Jack? Because technically tracking of ODA, because we report to
I don't care
Congress.
about tracking. I care about initiating.
Initiating projects.
Where do you initiate? How does it initiate? Where does it come from? Where it comes from heaven. It comes from
Usually, Mr. Chair, with DOF, there's
there's an IFG in DOF.
yes, Mr. Chair. So
And
we have
then
a
with
country
NEDA,
programming mission. So we have those bilateral regular meetings with the development partners.
when did you stop PDF? That's where we meet our development partners.
Yung pong Philippine Development
During the
Forum,
time of Ma'am Gloria, every year we had PDF.
yung chair po natin nun would be DOF.
So where's DOF? When did we stop PDF? The last PDF I attended. Probably I'm not already invited. But the last PDF I understood was in 2016 in Davao. After that, no more. So 7 years. So you would expect. In Vietnam, my God, the ODA there are like overflowing. Simply because we are not able anymore to come up with a systematic and orderly framework with which to optimize our access to ODA. Aside from, of course, from the two structural, one that our our grant component is still very high, which is no longer in line. Sa Vietnam, they're even willing to get only 10% in grant. And number two is that they allow private commercial blended financing, and we don't. And third, here, all our ODAs are treaties, not bilateral agreement, not executive agreements. So that is already being addressed. I think Congress has already approved that, and it's already pending in the Senate. So that is why I'm asking, is there a group that essentially focuses on ODA or our access to ODA? Is there an interagency? May interagency pa ba tayo? Wala na bang PDF? Is there wala na bang Philippine Development Forum wherein the government says this is what we need, and then World Bank, IMF, and etc., ADB, they say, okay, this is what we can offer. And our bilateral partners will speak. These are priorities, whatever. Wala nang ganun. Ba't wala na makasagot? Wala nang ganun.
Well, from NEDA's perspective, kanili, Mr. Chair, at
That
level,
means 7 years.
it's the one that initiates those exercises.
So ibig sabihin yung from Cathy, he comes up with a project, or probably JBIC goes to you. We want to finance this project, something like that. How does it happen, Cathy, for DPWH?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, when we have a proposed project, which we already finished the feasibility study or a master plan that we will propose for ODA financing, DPWH coordinates with the DOF for the appropriate financing for them to identify. Of course, we go through NEDA also.
So ibig sabihin lahat ng mga implementing agency papunta ng DOF.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Is that after passing NEDA?
Both parallel, Mr. Chair.
So parallel.
Parallel po. So
So-
documentations are submitted likewise to NEDA.
Effectively, it is the ICC that does.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Tama
Mr.
ba
Chair.
yun ang understanding ko, Eric? But that's not what the ICC was made for.
No, the ICC po is the projects lang eh. What happens is that we have regular country programming exercises. That's what they call it, ADB. So parang they have this is our portfolio.
Kanya-kanya.
Kanya-kanyang development partners, but that's initiated with by DOF. So
Does it make sense to have a PDF again? Para naman there's no duplication. Kandi, otherwise, all we get is DPL. They're just financing what's already in our budget. You look at 54% yung final list nyo. Oh, nakalagay dito. Budgetary support to existing projects, mainly DSWD. Ano ba yun? Otherwise, kung tatamad-tamad rin tayo, di ano ang gagawin nila? Yung type lang nila pipiliin nila. Hindi naman talaga yung gusto natin. Is there a way of restarting the PDF? Yun yung mabuti nandito presidente ko. No, there was no year we had a PDF. At saka ang ganda, the argumentation, the exchange of ideas, the discussions, para we would know what's going on in Vietnam, for example, like, this financing for irrigation would have been, given enough, So, pag nagka-country programming, sino nandun? NEDA, DOF, no IA.
lahat IAs po. We just had yesterday
Di
po with
parang
ADB.
ganito karami?
Yes po.
Kailan yung huling nangyari for World Bank? Kasi
World
they are
Bank.
the principal financier now. So, was NIA there? Was NIA there?
For DF to answer.
Ang dami-dami natin ganun. Yung ADB kailan?
Yesterday po, meron po kahapon.
Ayun, sino nandun?
For us, it's Secretary Balisaka.
Yeah, of course. But who were the IAs?
DOTR, DepEd, DPWH, DOE,
Sino nang imbita?
AD, I think ADB po.
Sila namimili kung sino gusto nilang tulungan? Bakit walang BARM?
Baka kami po yata. We'll check po.
Bakit walang BARM? Di ba natural consequence na ng ano natin? We want to make BARM successful, then naturally in every country programming exercise, the BARM should be there. Kayo mag-alala sa mga na ano. Anak ko yan si Eric. Simula na maging congressman ako. Hindi nga, pero we should go back to a more orderly and systematic framework for dealing with our country partners under like a Philippine Development Forum. Parang they will know our goals, our North Star. So they're like three kings. They know where to go and bring their gifts. And then also, are you following up, for example, for the ODA amendments in the Senate? It does three things. One, it reduces the grant component to 15. Two, it makes all ODA bilateral executive agreements and therefore not a treaty. And three, it allows for private concessional loans or blended financing. So it gives you greater access to European ODA. Last time I knew, yung new ODA ng Vietnam is 50 billion. Tayo, mga pinag-usapan natin, mga 30 billion, pero mga active. Is there what's your estimate about new ODA for the Philippines? Since President Marcos ascended, ito puro to active eh. Wala man kami sinasabi ko alin ang bago dito eh. Mga ex na to. Joke lang.
By the way, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Congressman Joey Aquino.
Madam Chairman.
Are you done?
I yield.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, let me just clarify. Is the South Long Haul project still being pursued?
Yes po, through the chair, it is still being pursued.
And Madam Chairman, are we sure that this will be completed?
Mr. Chair, at this time, we do not have a date on the completion since we are currently still exploring an alternative development partner, financing source, in case we are not able to get an action from China's side by the end of December, which is the latest direction as coordinated with the Department of Finance.
I am a bit intrigued, Madam Chairman, because this project actually started way back in 2018. And up to now, pinapaasa lang kaming mga Bicolano.
Unfortunately po, Mr. Chair, when we were able to award the contract in 2021 and submit our request for loan, our loan application in the first quarter of 2022. In the China process that we have, we do the procurement first, we award the contract, and then we apply for the loan. So we were able to finish the designs, we were able to do the procurement, we were able to sign the contract, and then we were able to file and submit our loan application to the China Exim Bank. However po, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, initially, we had to withdraw our loan application when the government changed in order to give the current administration the ability to decide whether to pursue still China as the financing source for South Long Haul. This administration decided to pursue that And that is why in December of 2022, through the DOF, we resubmitted our loan application to China. Based on the latest discussion with the Department of Finance, essentially there was a direction on how long will we wait for China's side to act on, approve, or respond to our loan application. Currently, the direction is to wait until the end of December 2023, after which po, Madam Chair, Mr. Chair, if we do not get positive feedback from China's side, then we will withdraw our loan application and explore other financing options already. So we are considering other development partners, and we are also considering the possibility of implementing at least some parts as a public-private partnership. But we need to wait for that essentially end of December period that we gave China's side to get back to us on what on whether they will pursue financing the South Long Haul project.
Madam Chair. Sino yung meron kayong mga NEDA? Magkano viability gap ng South Long Haul?
Yung
What is the negative net present value that needs to be funded by the national government?
numbers for that, Kong Joey. Yung the last one that was approved, positive pa po siya.
The one that was done by
the
Annette, yung ginawa ni Cosette kanila, noong 2012, there was an estimate wherein it was supposed to be under the build, gradual transfer, operate, and management. And in the 2016 budget, there was a 47 billion budget for payment to the first of that Batan, you know that, right? It
Yes,
was
Mr.
almost to be funded by the national government with lending from World Bank or ADB ba? Is that still possible?
Through the co-chairs po, yes, there was 2014, 2016 version of the South Long Haul project, which was a viability gap funded public-private partnership. To the chairs, I am just not able to get the amount of the viability gap at this time, but we confirm po that in 2016-2017 budget was allocated for the project around 50 billion pesos, but that was intended to finance the right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah. It was ready to start. Hindi lang yung right-of-way. No?
We will confirm po, sir.
I was right in the middle of everything there kasi I was the RDC chair. So, ang point ko doon kasi kung ang GSIS daw gustong i-funding yan, pero kailangan talaga may estimate ng viability gap para naman alam ng NG kung ano ilalagay sa GAA. Yun lang naman ang doon kasi kung ayaw kasi there are two proposals, KEXIM, the other proposal is essentially Japan. So, have you tried them? Of course, you cannot try them because you're still in bed with China, no? Pero will you, it was not disapproved. We withdrew, no?
Yes po, that is the...
You keep saying it was disapproved when in fact we withdrew our documents from China after we signed that Foreign Investments Act IRR, wherein there was an IIPCC, wherein if we have the territorial disputes, then it is subject to review for national security purposes. That is the whole story about it. The earlier we deal with this, because that was the real story. We withdrew, because we signed the FIA, and the FIA, they're in the IRR, there is a CFUS or an IIPCC wherein there is a national review for national security, and therefore because there are national security review, we withdrew our documents for the South, long South. Talagang ano lang talaga. Destino lang talaga ng Bicol yan. So anyway, I just for purposes of information, para we could deal with this decisively rather than, eschew all these issues so we can come up with a solution. So anong gagawin mo?
To the chair's po. As soon as we get, when we end this year, at the end of December,
Can you at least estimate the viability gap? Is the IA the one determining the viability gap or NEDA?
Mr. Chair, they usually have the first crack and then we'll get to refine it if needed.
Thank you.
I remember when I was president, IFC wanted to fund it. But but the terms were onerous, considered onerous, so it was not pursued. But no harm in going back to them again. Anything else? Anything else? Okay. Corruption issue. And then since there are many questions about the said that we withdrew not really because they were not approving the loan, but because the IRR said so about territorial disputes, then we might as well start actively looking already for another funder now and not wait until the year ends. Okay. So other questions, and we have and then the other item that we need to know for the next time is the GFIs and the GOCCs. What's the total foreign loan exposure as opposed to the in comparison to the debt ceiling? So we have 3 topics for the next hearing. So if there's no other, is there any other topic you'd like to?
Ma'am, I mentioned this earlier, but let me just reiterate. And I commend the good chairperson for coming up with a method of case study. So I think it's good to, instead of looking at all the different ODA projects, let's just select a few projects that are encountering problems and how do we solve it. No? So just to reiterate, case studies and specific policy recommendations. And then number 2, updates on legislative proposals to solve all ODA issues. And then number 3, updates on the China-related ODAs and loans. Thank you, Madam Chair.
We have about 7 items in the agenda for the next time. So there being no other questions, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Yes. Second. Okay. No objection on the part of the House. This hearing is adjourned until a date to be set next time, because we keep giving a date and then we cannot make it.
The part of the Senate, this oversight hearing is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you to everyone.